Why, you don't like small talk?
Yeah, I don't like small talk because I find it a bit hard when people just want to talk to me for the sake of doing it without having any bigger purpose for them.
Right.
Like, and I also feel like the degree that I'm doing, law, which is quite a serious matter and subject, and the topics are very important, have made my character even a bit more serious. Because I remember in the past, I was a bit more of a funny guy,
Right.
while now I feel myself much more stable and yeah.
So do you think that was because of you starting studying law, or just like part of growing up? Or...
No. I think there are several factors. One of them is that as a person, as a personality, I've always been a serious guy. But at the same time, the fact that I'm studying law contributes to my seriousness as well. And that's why sometimes I think people may find it a bit strange when they talk to me, and even they may feel that I'm too serious. But the thing is that that's who I am. And I just want to talk with people about deep stuff and topics about life as we've done. Because I enjoy that.
That's interesting because I don't feel like you're too serious. I think you do have a funny side to you. You just like, you're interested in things that most people aren't, maybe, you know, but I feel a similar way. I think that's why we've had good conversations in the past. But I want to know, how did you first like gain an interest in studying law? Like, how old were you and what was it where you're like, oh, this is something I want to look into?
Well, my parents are legal practitioners.
Right.
My dad is a judge and my mom is a lawyer. And throughout my life, I've been part of an atmosphere and an overall like spirit of law stuff, listening to conversations about justice and social regulations. And I've always liked that. This has always been part of my life. That's not that I'm saying that someone has forced me to study law, not at all. I've done that as a personal choice because I realized what the benefits of studying law are. Because studying about the rules helps you understand better how the society is constructed and what drives a particular society to success. And I think in particular the case in the UK, why this is such a successful country, is that rules here are like stable, strict, and people obey the rules, and that's why I like it. So pretty much I've known throughout my life, my whole life, that I will do law. Sometimes I've wondered, what if I don't? Is there another option for me? But then I'm not really good at maths and chemistry and that type of scientific subjects. And also not really that type of an art guy. Like I write poetry, but I'm not the typical art guy. I'm somewhere in between. Actually, I think I'm still looking for my real personality to shine. I'm still trying to find the way to what I really want to do. Because, for example, some people ask me, all right, are you going to work law? Do you want to be a lawyer or something? And the answer to this question is not like, it's not an easy one. Because I may be doing law, but I'm not sure that I want to work law. I find law a subject which is a necessary ground, like some basics which I need, and I want to expand on that, to build something on that, and to do some global stuff. Like, I'm not saying that law is not a global stuff as well. You got plethora of great law firms dealing with very serious cases, especially in the UK. You've got all those corporate law firms, commercial law firms, and not only them, but there are so many great places you can do that job. But I don't feel like I'm so interested in strictly working law. Like I've considered different opportunities, including politics as well, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get involved in debating here in uni, and why I'm an active member of the debating society. So I'm trying to.
So you want to put your own sort of change onto it. You want to explore the different roots of both politics and law.
Well, I'm still wondering if that's the case, actually. But my concept is that even if I work law for a couple of years, I may not keep up with doing that. I may make a transition and do some other stuff. Because also I want to have kind of a peaceful life. I don't want to be overstressed. Like I want my mind to be relaxed.
Yeah, because that's the kind of stereotypical idea of a lawyer that you have as someone who works like 60 hours a week and is constantly like overstressed and overtired. But I can't imagine you doing that because, like you say, you are a peaceful guy. But I think I'm quite similar in that I'm doing psychology, but like, do I want to really be a psychologist? I don't know. It's just what interests me. It's just kind of what my heart felt like it wanted to do, you know?
That's something which impressed me here in the UK. People are very open for different opportunities. And the fact that what they choose to study in uni is not what they obligatorily think that they will work afterwards, after graduation. So I think that's really impressive because before coming to the UK, I was thinking that most of the people do a subject which they want to work.
Yeah.
But then I talked to many people here, and they tell me that they do specific subjects just because they're interested in it, in them, genuinely.
Yeah.
And they may go in a absolutely different sphere.
And do you think where you're from in Bulgaria, it's more the traditional path to like pick a degree of a job you want to definitely do, and then you just follow that through and you get qualified and then you do that job?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the case most often. Because I feel that people have some sort of uncertainty that if they want to make a career transition, they won't be able to secure a job if they don't have the necessary qualification. So say they've done geography, and they think that if they don't qualify as geography teachers, there's something on the market for them apart from that, just because that's the way of thinking. That's just that stereotype of going to uni, studying something, and then wanting to pursue that.
Coming from Bulgaria to here, what is the main differences that you've noticed?
Well, the main difference is that here in the UK, everything is much more organized, and people are really conscious of what they do. Like, they do everything for a reason. While this may not always be the case in Bulgaria, where
there's like a lot of free will in Bulgaria.
No, there is a room for free will, of course, but I mean that it's just that people sometimes just want to have fun.
Do you mean like people are more kind of conscientious of what they do in their lives, so they'll have kind of more of a plan?
Yeah.
What they want.
Yeah, more of a plan. Things are done in a bit of a different way, more planned, more scheduled. Now in Bulgaria, I think it's becoming similar in that sense because it's very dynamic there as well. And but I mean, if we look at social space, social life, how social life's organized, how institutions work, and so on, and people in the UK conduct quite a good oversight of public life and how they're governed. While in Bulgaria, there could be some people who are not really interested in that. And others, however, are really interested. And this is a group of born civic society, you know what I mean? People who are actively involved and engaged and interested in what's going on in the political world. Well, here I think the civic society is wider. And by being wider, you have more people with this sort of thinking of we have to oversight public institutions and so on. We need to hold them accountable. While sometimes in Bulgaria, I feel like people don't really have that confidence or maybe even the awareness of how important it is to do so. So sometimes people ask you if you could bring one positive example abroad, what that would be. So I would say this thing, and that was the first thing that struck a particular impression on me. The first time when I visited the UK, and this was in 2019. Here in the UK, everyone is concentrated and focused on what they do, on what their job is. And they try to genuinely do their job in a very
ordinary.
Yeah, in a very good way, without trying to pose a barrier for other people's job or something. No, just making a common contribution for the public good. And I think that's something of a great example which should be spread in different countries, in my country as well.
That's interesting. Tell me a little bit about your poetry writing and where that came from and why you do it, because I find it fascinating and respectable and interesting, and I just want to know a bit more about like how you started doing that and what your motivations are. And I know you have like some piece of work that are out there, and it's been praised at your old college or something. I saw that on your Instagram a while ago. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think I started writing in grade 3. Mm-hmm. So I was a young boy inspired by what's going on in their life. But I think that I've been kind of drawn to writing by the fact that when my dad was younger, he's tried to do some poetry stuff. So I think I may have inherited this skill. And also some of my grandparents have been teachers in literature, in Bulgarian language and literature. So I think I have this sense of being inclined to write, inherited by all those people. And then looking around, what's going on with life, trying to reflect on my personal experience, on my communication with people, about how I feel. Gradually, I was writing different different poems. Even remember that I started in a notebook. And that was an interesting case because there was one notebook with poems that I didn't really like, and I just
Threw it out.
threw it
out. Yeah.
Yeah, threw it out, and yeah, my mom wasn't really happy with that, but but then I think I became much more much wiser, and I'm keeping and I make an archive of all of my works, just because it's interesting to see how your writing is developing throughout time, and how more mature it's becoming.
And you'll see how you've changed over time by reading bits that you've written in particular points of time.
Yeah.
What do you write about?
So what I write about, there are several general topics: love, love towards my country, love towards my friends. I mean, in this sense of loyalty, love towards like a relationship, in your personal life, and also some social stuff, trying to make a comment on what's the most recent topic in the news or something, even because I think that, and I've read some stuff on that poets need to not only and by the way, these are two different types of schools in poetry. Like one of them thinks that poets just need to write in order to deliver pleasure to the reader, and write some, just about love, about some lighter stuff. While other people think that poets need to actually write down what's going on in society and reflect on that, and be more socially engaged. So I think I'm part of the second group of people thinking about poetry, and that's why I'm trying to write on whatever I consider important, even if it doesn't relate to me particularly. And yeah, as Joe said, I was lucky enough to win with 3 of my poems a poetry contest, and the prize was the release of your own poetry book. So that happened when I was in high school, when I was in grade 10, yeah, I won it. Actually, each of my poems got the first, the second, and the third place, respectively. And yeah, and I had a chat with the editor, with the house I released book, and I've got about 200, a bit over 200 books. I don't sell them. I just give them as a gift to my friends, to my teachers, as a way of recognizing their support throughout the years. Because I need to emphasize on that in order for a person to feel confident while writing, they need that sense of support from their friends and family. So I've always been lucky enough to get that support from my family, from my friends, from my teachers, and looked at this opportunity as a really good one to give back to them. People like it. People like my poems. I need to confess that due to COVID-19, due to the pandemic and the fact that we were closed for so much time, and social relations kind of were stopped, life just stopped, and there was no room for inspiration. My writing just terminated, and I couldn't possibly think of a topic that I could write on. And I think that the most productive period in my life was in high school, because I was a really happy guy then. I was falling in love. I was surrounded by a stable group of friends, and yeah, was really happy. And then after COVID, things changed, and I find it hard even now to write. Like, imagine it's been 2 years and a half-ish since I graduated in high school, and I have written about 6 or 7 pieces. And imagine that's something that I used to do for a week before the pandemic. So you can compare.
It's really interesting.
I'm still trying to relieve from the consequences that I bear as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
So why did that hit you so hard, the pandemic? Because there was no inspiration.
No inspiration, no real chance to talk to people, being close at home, you know? It's a bit, there's not a situation, there is not a plot, there's nothing in your daily life.
It's changing.
Yeah, which may cause your mind to think of something. Just sitting at home and trying to do your everyday job, studying, preparing for exams, it's not really inspiring. Well, if you go outside, if you have a conversation with someone, it's a bit more different, and that's why COVID-19 had that negative impact on me. And now, because I started living alone on my own, trying to organize my life, especially now coming to the UK, I most of my time is busy with trying to balance everything, and don't really have the time to have that peaceful mind of self-reflection. Although so much stuff I feel has happened, but I haven't had the time to reflect on that.
So you need quite a clear head to write. You have to be under a certain kind of condition.
Well, yeah, although there's not a specific formula or a golden rule for me. It was just, it could come at any point.
Yeah.
I mean, the inspiration. And I always have my phone with me.
Yeah.
I always write poems on my phone. I find that more convenient, especially for me. But I remember that there was a tradition when I was in grade 11 in high school. For about a month or so, I was writing a poem, a short poem of 4 lines, reflecting on what had happened that day. So I was doing that at the end of the day. This was the period when I kind of set a tendency of how I do things. But this hasn't been something that I wanted to do like deliberately. That's just how I felt the things at that point. And it was, as I said, a really productive period. I was in love. But I'm happy whenever inspiration comes to my mind.
Is that inspiration? Does that normally take the form of maybe one line here and there?
It's not a whole concept. It's sometimes just a line.
Yeah.
And really surprisingly, it could be the last line. I mean, sometimes I know how I want the poem to end. And I put the last line and try to reconstruct the poem in a way which fits the end. Or sometimes something happens in real life. I meet someone, or we have a conversation or something, and when I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, something may come from this conversation, I mean, from this situation, or from a thought that I have had about it. Because so sometimes I don't even have an idea for a line. It's just something that has struck my mind, and that I feel that I may produce a poem out of that.
And there's so much I want to unpack on this situation, but where should I start? I want to start with I can tell just from what you said there that you're someone who's very aware of their own emotions and takes a lot of time to reflect on their life and be introspective, I guess is the right word. And I'm similar in that I like to, when I can, write in a journal, reflect on things that are going on. I mean, and I want to ask, how has that helped you or affected you in your life? Because I find when you're so aware of your own emotions and your own position in the world and the thoughts that go through your mind, it's great in one respect, but also it can be quite painful at points. And how have you managed that with having the kind of quite deep self-awareness that you have?
Well, I can't say that I've suffered. Of course, sometimes it's hard, especially if you write for a love that hasn't been shared. I mean, if it's only coming from you, but the other person doesn't think the same.
And
But it really depends. I think what has defined the mood for me is how nostalgic I feel. So let's say that I'm trying to reflect on something which happened in the past, and sometimes if I compare how happy I am in the past, how happy I am now compared to the past, this may make me suffer if I try to write about this. But generally, the mere fact of me self-reflecting on my thoughts doesn't make me sad. It even doesn't make me think too much. It's just trying to make, as I said, an archive of my thoughts, having things written down. And that was one of my thoughts when I was releasing my poetry book, that it will be very interesting for me when I get back to it in 10 years' time, to see what kind of a person I was 10 years ago, how I saw the world, how I felt love and friendship, and how I have changed throughout the years. So I've never seen writing as a problem. This has never made me feel pain or sorrow. It's just that this is an inclination that sometimes you're just picking the pen, the paper, the phone, whatever, and trying to consolidate what's happening with you down there. Because I was thinking this morning, it was really interesting to be a person. Probably I'm a bit influenced by our conversation and your psychological insights, but it's really interesting to be a person, to be a living creature. And what you don't have time to do is, because once you are born, you already are a person. You already are required to act as a person. What you don't have time to do is to learn how to be a person and what to be a person actually means. Poetry could provide some answer to that.
yeah,
If we look for it.
we're not given a guidebook of how to be a person. No one sits you down and goes like, this is how to live life. That's something you have to figure out on your own. And I think really that's the question that we have to use our lives to answer. And maybe what you're alluding to there is something that I think is like, you won't find the answer to that question outside of yourself. That answer is found within you. And the way you extract that out from within you is through processing your experience, through writing, through thinking, through reflecting, through conversations like this. So that's really nice. Yeah, That's a nice touch. Do you think love is the most important thing in life?
I think it is. Love in all its forms. Love for your parents, for your siblings, for your partner, for your friends, for all your relatives. Because at the end of the day, it is the people who you are with that really matter. Because if you are alone and if you are not happy, even if you have all the money in the world, it's pointless, because you may buy some stuff, but if you don't have someone to share that stuff with, or to even share the moment, or even if you don't have,
Love in all its forms.
love in all its forms, if you don't have someone to share your emotions with, it's everything is pointless, I think. So yeah, love is and
Don't you also think love can be extremely painful?
could be. It could be. Because if you don't have the people you love around you, it could be painful. It could be. I remember yesterday I talked to my parents about 3 hours, for about 3 hours, and I was even crying. I was crying for about, an hour or so, because I find it hard. I need to be. I want to be successful. I need to confess that I'm a bit afraid of failure, which could be a bad thing, but at the same time it drives you to be good in what you're doing. But I was crying because I find it hard that my family is not with me, and I love them and I miss them, and also I find the transition after school a bit of a roller coaster, because it's much more different. I mean, in school you have an organized class, stable group of friends, and so on, and then you graduate and you're in real life, in that social jungle, even if you like saying so. And it's hard to adapt, to show the best version of yourself to the world, and be on your own. That's, I think, a big problem. And sometimes I wonder, is it only me? And bear in mind that I'm 21, so I'm a bit older than most of the people here. But this, I don't feel that this really makes a difference. If someone presumes that being a year or two older makes you braver, or makes you more confident, more prepared for life, I wouldn't say that this is the case, at least in my situation. And also I miss my life from when I was younger, because my family and I, we had a brilliant life. I remember spending time with them, being outside, going for a walk, meeting with friends, and I've always been surrounded by great people, and now trying to replicate that model of successful life, building a stable group of friends, and trying to do on my own the stuff that my parents have been doing for me for so many years. That's hard. I want to replicate the model that they've created, but I see that this is not easy. So say I've been living my whole life with that thought that because my parents met at uni, I mean, they both studied in the law school, they met in uni, and they sit the exams for becoming a judge and respectively for becoming a lawyer. They were working hard every day to create that successful careers and that good family, this life. And I've always thought that I will be able to do the same. And then now, once I'm on the track of doing it, I see that this is not so easy. So finding a person which could be your partner is not an easy task. Also, you have obviously the cultural differences, which I wouldn't say are like big differences. I mean, I think we're pretty similar, but still there are some things which are more of a individual characteristics, you know, of different types of people. And trying to balance studies and to be aware of the professional opportunities with that long-term thought in my mind and purpose of building and replicating, as I was saying, this model of successful life of my parents is hard. And that's why I cried yesterday. This was a desperate expression of my weakness to be good, to be successful, to live up to my own expectations, because I have been thinking that I need to do that in my life, and I'm still thinking so. And even sometimes I wonder, is it that years pass, time progresses, and things doesn't happen easily and quickly enough? Does it just take more time, or is it me who don't do the things in the right way? But I don't have definitive answers to these questions yet. So yeah, that's when love could be painful. And also, obviously, could be painful with, as I said, I've had several cases. If you love someone, if you like someone, but they don't have the same opinion about you. I mean, they may like you as a guy, but not as a boyfriend, which obviously is very painful. But yeah, I think every time people get more accustomed to these sorts of rejections, you know. And I remember one of my favorite movies. I think I've spoken with Joe about it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Notting Hill. I remember. Have you watched Notting Hill? No. Oh, you have to. I mean, that's a brilliant. That's my favorite movie. It's a British movie. It was filmed 1999. Hugh Grant, Julia Roberts playing the main roles, and I remember a scene there. So Hugh Grant was selling books in a bookshop in Notting Hill, quite a famous place there. If you go to Notting Hill, you will see Notting Hill bookshop, because that's the bookshop from the movie. And he's a British seller of books, and he meets Julia Roberts, who is an American, great movie star. And basically throughout the film, they develop that relationship. And she feels uncertain that because he's from Notting Hill, which I find impressive to be from Notting Hill, but maybe he has another opinion, or probably it depends on what you compare with. So he compares Notting Hill with probably, I don't know, Beverly Hills. Oh yeah, I remember he was saying, I'm from Notting Hill, you're from Beverly Hills. And he was just saying that he is afraid that his relatively inexperienced heart will suffer a lot if at some point she rejects him. And that's why he refused to get in a deeper relationship with her, when she asked him to do so. And then you have these words that she was saying to him, all right, okay, but never, please remember that I'm just a girl standing in front of a guy and asking him to love her. So you could have that side of someone asking you to love them. And I think we also need to have a broader perspective of love. Not only how do we feel when we get rejected, but how do we feel when we reject even. So yeah, I mean, love is the eternal topic, and it's unique because no one can have you a formula of how to be successful in love. There are a plethora of great love songs. They are a reflection of other people's stories and experience with love. But
I think if everyone told the truth about how they actually felt in their lives, it would be so clear that there are so many people that feel in a similar way. Of that, like, we're fed these expectations of this like Disneyland like dream that in some way you'll just be navigating life and then you'll suddenly find someone and then everything will be happy ever after. And that's not always a reality. Maybe it is for some people.
So we should go around telling people how we feel.
Well, yeah, it's just, I think if people were honest, they'd be like, yeah, no, my expectations for how I thought my life would be are not the way my life is.
I mean, it shouldn't be so hard.
Why? Why shouldn't it be so hard?
Just to tell someone how they feel, how you feel. It's just a confidence thing, isn't it?
What do you mean? Do you mean like if you like someone, telling them how you feel about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you deny it and you procrastinate it, and it's like...
It's weird. I mean, I think... Yeah, I mean, I was meaning kind of like if people were honest about how they're experiencing life, like we would find that a lot of people don't feel like they are where they should be, even if that's romantically or if that's in their job or just even in how good their mental or physical health is. So I don't think you're at all alone in that. I think I felt it as well. I think like with the way my brain works is I have these grand expectations of like where I'm going to be in a year, where I'm going to be in 6 months, and like these things are like a nice carrot at the end of the stick that motivate me to work hard and apply myself. But sometimes you get there and you realize, oh damn it, this is not what I thought it was going to be, and I'm not who I thought I was, and that's weird at first. But then you kind of just have to learn, all right, well, let's get on with it and see, make the best of it. I mean, I found it with uni as well. Like, I had this idea that I was going to come here and be, you know, okay, back in sixth form, back in the end of secondary school, before I came here, I was like, a big name on campus is like a crappy phrase for it, but like I was a part of the student leadership team, had a lot of really close friends. I was all right with everyone in my year. I was involved in school activities. I just felt like I was really there. I was one of the main ones, you know, I was one of the main characters. And then you come here, it's like thousands of students, thousands of young people that don't know your name, don't know who you are. The lecturer doesn't know your name. You're just another statistic in the lecture room. And it's so easy to just get lost and be like, shit, this is really not what I thought it was going to be. You know, and I don't know what I really expected, because it's obvious, like, obviously lecture halls are bigger and you're there to learn yourself, really. They just give you the resources. But I think that's it's always, our minds are always creating expectations, and whether we fulfill them or not is what defines how we feel. And I think I've learned recently that you have to kind of let go of rigid expectations. Like, set a direction, sure, like, I'll have an idea of what you want, but when you try and mold reality and force reality into a certain way, that's only going to end in unhappiness, even if it works out the way you wanted it to, because if your life went exactly how you wanted it to, it wouldn't be exciting. The idea that things aren't perfect and things could go wrong and things do go wrong and I could get hurt, well, that makes it worth it. Like, maybe the Boris story isn't that you find this perfect princess like you thought you would at uni, but maybe you go down various different paths and you go through the trials and tribulations, the struggles that make you a better man and increase your perspectives on the world. So then you find that person where you least expected it.
Yeah. And I think this is part of the magical side of love, because when you don't expect it, you may find the love then. But I was recently talking to my mom, and she told me, keep calm. There is only one girl at somewhere waiting for you. There is only one job waiting for you, which, if I rephrase it, if I paraphrase it, means don't press yourself excessively, trying to benefit from every opportunity for, let's say, a work experience, opportunity to go here and there and meet these people and those people, just, because there are so many opportunities for work experience and so on, and you can't really divide yourself between so many places. You just need to, as you said, have a set direction, like more broadly, more generally, and you will find the love when you expect it least. I've got a favorite singer who is called Jack Savoretti, and he sings in his song "Love of Your Life" that exactly this, that you will find the love of your life when you don't expect it to happen. But on that note of what you were saying, that you were that type of a secondary school guy surrounded by a bunch of friends and always in the hectic atmosphere of the party and what's going on, and you see this transition in uni. I think that our secondary school experience could be very helpful if we've been actively involved in community life in secondary school. You said you've been. I was as well. So this could help us to navigate our way in uni, which is a great and a very complex institution. So you have some understanding of how institutional life works. And also what I find particularly helpful and important is to build on my previous experience. So let's say in high school, I was president of the parliament, of the secondary school parliament, was for 4 consecutive years, was a chairman, a president of my class in the parliament as well. And then I came to uni and I was thinking of, all right, one of the ways which could help me to communicate more extensively with people, to feel less solitary, will be keeping up with this social engagement. And what I did was to sign up to become an academic rep. And now I'm one of the academic reps of the law school. And this is a role through which I gather feedback from law students and provide this feedback to the relevant academic staff. And also students can address issues that they find throughout the course, and I need to communicate that with the staff, collaborate with them on finding the solution, and inform the students on what the solution that we've reached to is. So uni is a great opportunity for personal development. It could be quite a big space where you may feel alone, but it also gives lots of opportunities if you want to involve in them and kind of compensate for the negative aspects of such a wide community and benefit from the positive ones.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way of looking at it. It's definitely, there's two sides to it, for sure. I think I just found it hard that my expectations weren't matched. I think that's the reality of any time anything's a bit uncomfortable psychologically. It's always because you thought it would go one way and it went another. And I might feel that way if my plan for next year goes right. I might be where I'm going to be and be like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. But I guess you've just got to try, haven't you? You just got to go and try stuff out. You've got to go and throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Or should you go in and not have high expectations?
I think that's also it as well, yeah. Just with everything. But it's so hard because our brain, that's how the brain tries to make us emotionally stable. It creates an expectation of how life should be. And when life fulfills that expectation, we feel comfortable. That's how it works, you know. Any times you feel mentally uncomfortable, it's because an expectation you had hasn't been met. You know, having no expectations, I think I would just become a slob and not do anything, you know. It's only because I have expectations of myself that I need to fulfill that make me do anything.
So is it not very healthy to keep looking into the future and keep hoping?
I think hope is like love in that it's beautiful but also painful. Like you need it. You need it to function. You need hope to get out of bed in the morning, because when you open your eyes at first thing in the morning, that's when despair hits me the most. But it's hope that gets you through. It's hope that gets you into the shower. It's hope that gets you up and goes, right, as much as today might have some challenges, there can also be some beauty in it. And it's that hope, whether it's fulfilled or not, that gets you moving. Some days won't be. Some days won't be beautiful. Most days, well, not most, but a lot of days will be painful. You know? But without that hope, then you have more pain.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't get started to go and look in the light. All you see is darkness. You know, maybe you're in a dark tunnel, but if you don't see the light at the end of it, it's not a tunnel anymore, it's just darkness. You know?
Hope is what keeps you alive, I think. And also, I think one of the hardest part to learn is how to be a balanced person, not be extremist in terms of either I do everything or I don't do anything, you know? So just try to find that balance of how you do the things in, I mean, for everyone, that's not individually for you, but and trying to reflect really on myself, because sometimes I feel that either I want to do everything right now, like, and to gain the success immediately, or I just completely may forget about everything and try to relax for as long as possible, which again is not healthy. So trying to find the balance and do the stuff without pressuring yourself too much. As you said it quite right, have that general set perspective for the future and just do the everyday tasks that you have to in the best possible way. But again, you don't have to stress too much, because you don't really want to turn your life, into a nightmare. And yeah, but about what you were saying, that you have to try and do some new stuff and see what will happen. I'm that type of a person who finds it quite difficult to get determined to get out of their comfort zone, just because this is a big challenge. And I think I went on that road. I accepted that challenge now. Obviously, I'm in a great place. I mean, I could have never wished for a better uni and a better situation, being supported by loving friends and family. But it's still hard, nevertheless. And finding your place out of your comfort zone is differently hard for everyone. So, for example, what you are thinking of doing next year, I find that really brave, because can't imagine myself going to a new place and then making again a radical transition and going to another new place in just a year. So yeah, I mean, hats off to your plan, and I will miss you. I will miss you deeply.
Likewise, Boris.
I mean, our communication will not stop, of course, but seeing you every day is another thing, you know?
Well, I think I'm dragged more than I'm driven. I think the fact that uni didn't really match my expectations, even though it's early to make any claims, I think that's what's motivated me more to go. But I also think like, yeah, it's scary, but on the other side of fear is adventure. Always, always, so I might move and then hate the first month, but at least I'm having an adventure. I don't know what's going to happen. I think here it's very predictable now. I'm in a routine of like, okay, I get up and go to these lectures, and this guy at the front of the room tells me some psychology stuff that I know already, and I'm just like, okay, I've just given him loads of money, and he's gonna go and get on with his life and doesn't care about me. And it's like, I feel like I feel like I'm just back at school again, but right now I'm paying for it rather than it being free. It's like, I don't know. It doesn't. I think my enthusiasm for studying has gone. I'm not really sure why. It's just faded. It's just faded, and I think for me, I have to just follow what makes me want to get up in the morning. I think our purpose in life, or like our drive, has layers to it that kind of get peeled off, like as you just grow up. So like maybe 14-year-old Joel was so much less self-aware, and all he cared about was like getting any attention he could from females, or like hanging out with the boys, or playing Fortnite. And then like Joel gets older, he realizes that he wants to try hard at school, right? So then maybe his purpose is get good grades, learn stuff. And then that kind of stayed as the goals, like just keep learning. And now it's like that layer of my purpose is peeled off. And now it's like, okay, what do I want? I want adventure now. I want adventure. And then maybe I might get to 23 and that layer peels off. And so what do I want now? Okay, well now I want a family. Now I want to just be a great father, or whatever it is. And that those layers throughout my life will keep going. So yeah, I don't even know how I got onto that, but I think the reason we connected so well is because we have a shared deep awareness that you just can tell when you meet someone. You go, okay, they've got there's depth there. I mean, you have it as well, Jake. You meet people and you just know like, there's just something there.
Yeah. And on the topic of balance, trying to think whether we'd ever figure out balance, because it's something that I always thought it's never got it right. No, he over like the couple of years, it's like no, yeah. How do you? Can you get a balance right?
I think it's like a pendulum, right? In that like a pendulum swings from side to side with less intensity as time goes on, but it's still swinging. It might be closer to the center. So balance is that center, and we're constantly swinging from we want one thing, we want the other, we want one thing, we want the other, and the intensity of that swing gets slower and slower until maybe we reach a point where we accept the way that we live our lives and we accept who we are at that point. But I think it just takes time, like you say, like you've got to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Balance to me is like I have a good day where I get stuff done, but I also have fun and I sleep well at night. I mean, that's it. That's all you want. But I want to ask you, Boris, like you said, and I can relate to this, and Jacob will relate to it as well, that there's this fear of failure. What does that failure look like to you? I mean, I'm interested, like what, because I've spoken before about this idea that in life we have things that we want that drive us, but we also have things that we don't want that also drive us. So we have this thing that we're moving towards, but we also have this thing in our rearview mirror that we see and go, I do not want that, so I'm going to do this. What does that look like to you?
Well, it could even mean getting bad grades as well, including this. I mean, moving to a different educational system that I need to adapt to and live up to the expectations and the criteria which is set out here. I mean, in Bulgaria, education is hard as well, but still there are different specifics which are different. So this could be one, although more trivial form of a failure, but in the uni experience is relevant. And also failure could be not being that type of a person who you thought you are. Like if you've lived with the thought of yourself of being a perfect guy and at some point you feel pressured and you can equally do things as right as you have done then.
I think there's a quote that me and Jacob really like, and it's true hell is where who you are meets who you could have been.
Yeah.
And you saying that makes me see even more similarities in ourselves and all three of us here, because I have other friends that like it as well. It seems like there are some people, I talked about it in a previous episode, that seem to have this idea of who we could be in the back of our minds. It's always there, lurking, being like, you're not living up to being who I am. You're not living up to me. What are you doing? Get yourself together. Who are you? And he's always there. There's this Joel in the back of my head that won't leave me alone.
Yeah. And that's this pursuit of perfection. But perfection could not be, I think, achieved, or it could be reached at some point with a very difficult, through a very difficult path. But then, is it actually? I talked to a friend of mine recently about that, and is it even necessary to be perfect? I mean, no one is perfect. No one is sinless and perfect. But we just need to be good people with do what in what we believe. I mean, according to the rules, of course. I mean, the wall guy in me speaking now, but yeah, and it's that lack of coincidence of perfect model of a person and the person who you are and who you are struggling to shape to be, you know?
Do you think it's interesting that we all have, I think most people have an idea of what they want long term and then also what they need to do now to get there. But the majority of people don't do it. It's really interesting to me that it feels like we aren't the masters of the kingdom in our minds. I think that's why I was so interested in psychology, because I need to figure out why I'm not in control.
Yeah,
Who is it that, like, if it, like, I feel like the conscious self, me, the I that's talking now, doesn't have all the reins in my own mind, in my own life. And that fascinates me. And it's like you said that you were thinking about this morning. We're not given a guidebook of how to live life, maybe because no one knows. Because maybe we're not fully in control. We're literally thrust into this experience that you can't really complain, that you can't really explain, you can't really comprehend. And you're right, it's just like you grow up and you're influenced by all these social norms and you're just expected to just get on with it. And like no one will, rarely people stop and go, hold on guys, what the hell is going on here? And I feel like I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that's just stopping and going, hang about, what's happening? Because everyone else seems to just be like, takes everything as it is. I struggle with it. I really do. You know?
yeah. It's just that um, you don't find the formula easily, and well, people want to be successful, want to be to live up to their own expectations, to society's expectations. and they really need to do the effort to do so. Like, you may achieve so many things, and even when someone tells you you are the master of your own kingdom, which I understand as whatever you do to yourself, these will be the consequences. I mean, everything depends on you and on your efforts, which could be a bit of a frightening thought, even, because realizing that whatever you do it for yourself, which could be a good thing because no one stops you to pursue your dreams and possibly achieve them. But at the same time, it needs to be emphasized that it takes a lot of effort, actually. And I think this is one of the worst impacts of social media, if we talk about social media a bit, because you're seeing so many successful role models in social media, you get that overall perception of success, and you are attracted to that idea of being successful, to look like all these people throughout the world get to where they are. And then once you're on the track of trying to achieve it, you see that this is not real. I mean, it is real, but the fact that how you get there is not easy. It calls for so many efforts, and if you want to do something and get success, you really need to work hard.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting you say that. Like, imagine what life would be like if we had no media whatsoever. Like back 1,000 years ago, like, yes, life would be terribly difficult, but like, where do my desires come from? Like, why do I want to be financially free and have time freedom and do the things I want to do for a living? Like, why do I want those things? Because the answer I'd like to be able to say is, it feels right in my heart. But is it just because I see, like you say, role models online that have lives that are better than my life now for some reason? They seem better, and then I want to do that. Like, it's so interesting. You're right. We get to see the highlight reels of other people's lives when we see our own failures from a front row seat, and that's really difficult to balance, for sure.
So, how much of your inspiration or your material makes it onto a finished poem? Because it's like most creative ideas, a lot of them don't resonate with other people, and a lot of them are perceived wrong. I don't know if that would work the same in poetry, but how much of your ideas do you use?
I mean, um, I think most of them, or every idea basically, because especially recently there haven't been so many of them, so I can't really let them go away. Uh, but at the same time, you have to bear in mind what will be. I mean, everyone writes for themselves, of course. You don't do that for other people. Although, why not? I mean, there's nothing wrong with writing for with that thought that this will be read by someone. I mean, I'm I think every writer has that unconscious concept of writing to express themselves and for someone else to read it eventually. So it also depends on the targeted audience. But generally, whenever I have an idea which I consider worthy enough to develop, I do it. And usually, if I have an idea, it is worthy enough. So basically, most of my ideas, I try to um, build a poem out of them. Or I've even written some prose, like one texts, but kind of felt that poetry is what suits me better, in terms of having that shorter style of expression, in a more emotional and moving way. Not saying that prose is not moving, not at all, but they just impact people in different ways. And yeah,
Definitely nice to it's definitely nice to express your emotion in some way. And you might do it through poetry, and Joe, you might do it through journaling. It's probably a lot healthier than keeping it inside.
Yeah, man, everyone needs an outlet of anything. I mean, let's say bottling up anything like that is difficult, and I think it makes the highs higher and it processes the lows. And when you reflect, I think when you reflect on something good, a good time that you've had, or a great idea, or a great thing that you've been thinking about, it makes it even better. Like it makes the feeling deeper. And then when you're struggling with something, like getting it out or processing it in different ways, is so healthy. So yeah, I commend you for that, man. And I think the way our brains are wired is quite similar. And I appreciate that. Boris, thank you very much
thank you very much,
for
guys.
this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man. And yeah, that went as well as I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Anything for